Welcome to the Welcome to the Dominance Academy, where we specialize in revitalizing manhood and leadership. Our approach focuses on developing men to lead with strength and passion, enriching their lives and their families. We provide practical solutions and expert guidance in the realms of sexual education and the mysteries behind polarity and structured power dynamics. Join us at thedominanceacademy.com and restore harmony to your home while rediscovering the joy of a fulfilling masculine presence. It's time to step into your role as a leader and as a man. And now, the host of the show, Mr. Justin.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful beginning of your weekend. I know that I am. And, things are always moving along, working on the different stuff that we are at the Academy. So, and if you're in a relationship or you're dating, I hope things are going well with you. Again, if they are not, always get in touch with me and I can help you out. So in doing my research, I came across this term, and I was like, oh shit, that's really turning into a thing. And that is the term of the intellectual incel. And I was like, oh damn, that's really a thing. And I'm noticing it more and more, especially in places like Clubhouse, where you can hear them talk. You can hear them talk a lot. So what I noticed was that with things like the rational male coming out, many years ago, and then lots of studies happening, or the digging up of studies, or various platforms where people are talking about statistics and analysis and things of that nature, and these things just start compiling on one another. And then there's this surge, this growth, and this surge of this guy who really is in no better position than where he was before. Okay, he was never in a great position, and he's still not in a great position, but now he knows so much about why. And this, I guess, is empowering. It makes him feel powerful, because before he had ignorance plus no power, and now he's got, well, still no power, but he's just a little less ignorant. And it was interesting because I was talking to this one guy. I'm not going to name him, but he was on Clubhouse, and we were chatting, and I was trying to get to the root of his reasoning of like why he wanted to have so much insight. And he really just was refusing hardcore about the truth behind his motivation. That's what he was really resisting against, that, like admitting to the truth of his the reasoning behind all of his actions. And he said that the reason why he studied so much, why he dug into this information so much, why he reads the statistical information, is that so he can gain clarity. Because he's admittedly gone black pill. Like he literally calls himself Black Pill. Like that's his nickname, right? And this I think is a farce. I think that at the root of it, if you're not, if you don't have like some sort of dissociative disorder, or you're not some hardcore player, most guys, they just want a nice relationship. That's it. They just want to be in a nice relationship with a nice girl and spend time together, eat food, have sex, watch movies, maybe get married, maybe have a family. Like pretty simple. Like this, I think, is the motivation behind most guys. And he couldn't admit that. He couldn't admit that he just wanted a woman, because in doing so, in someone admitting that they want a woman, yet they're in complete acceptance, I guess, of their position, I guess, in the what they consider the sexual market, that it puts them in a position of weakness, I guess. Like they're just saying, well, I'm by saying what I want, I'm admitting my position of defeat. And really, being honest with yourself is not putting yourself in a position of defeat. That's actually the beginnings of the path. This is the beginnings of the way. By admitting to yourself and becoming very clear what it is that you want. This is really how it goes. Now, of course, you need to have, a certain level of emotional control, because if you've got volatile emotions mixed with knowing what you want, well, you get all kinds of really messed up things happening in society. So that sends me to this information. It's on phys.org, phys.org, and they talk about social sciences, physics, biology, astronomy, chemistry, all kinds of interesting stuff. So there was this article written on this website, and it was published January 16th, 2024. So this is very recent information. And it said, study reveals the dating psychology of incels. And there's a number of categories here, and there's incel men and non-incel men. Maybe I can just share this really quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So here you can see what's going on here, and these are these are the measurables. I don't know what it says, why it says average there, but these are different characteristics like loyal and dependable, kind and understanding, intelligence, body attractiveness, attractive political beliefs. I don't know what that could possibly be. Good cook, homemaker, sexually skillful, sociability, fashion sense, things of that nature. So what's interesting is that the things down on the lower ends, okay, so to clarify, the blue markers are the incel men, the orange markers are non-incel men. And so what you have on the right side with these lower bars here is sociability, good homemaker, sexually skillful, financial prospects, and fashion sense. And then the things towards the higher end, okay, we'll start with this one. You've got intelligence, emotional stability and maturity, kind and understanding, and loyal and dependable. So this is, I think, like through maybe questionnaires or maybe what they think of themselves, is that they find themselves to be like more emotionally available and less sexually skillful. So to go on here, it says a new study published in the Journal of Sex Research has revealed the complex world of involuntary celibacy, providing important insights into the challenges faced by a growing community of men known as incels. The study, which is the first formal investigation of incel mating psychology, explores the psychological aspects of incel struggles, focusing on their perceived reasons for singlehood, self-perceived mate value, mate preferences, and perceptions of female mate preferences. Findings from the study, which surveyed 151 incels and 149 non-incels from across the globe, revealed that incels make fundamental errors about what females look for in a romantic partner. Gee, isn't that interesting? Isn't that something that I've been saying forever? Is that what you believe is what you will perceive. So if you have messed up beliefs about certain things, then you're going to perceive a warped vision of the world. And if you have certain beliefs about women, you're going to have warped visions of what women actually are. But because your beliefs are so entrenched and inside your character, these guys, that there's no way that the things that you're saying are untrue. They're believed so wholeheartedly down to your core that because they're connected with your emotions and how you see yourself. So these things are all like interrelated. And when it's messed up, you're going to have a messed up self-vision. You're going to have a messed up self-identity. And then you're going to have a messed up idea of what women are and, what their role is in your life. So it goes on to say that, let's see here. They overestimate the importance of physical attractiveness and financial resources while underestimating the importance women place on intelligence, kindness, humor, and loyalty. So I guess the softer skills, the emotions, and they think that physical attractiveness and financial resources are the most important things ever. Additionally, contrary to mainstream media narratives, incels have lower standards for partners compared to non-incels and suffer from a variety of mental health issues, including severe depression, anxiety, and loneliness. A significant portion of incels also exhibit traits associated with autism spectrum disorder. While the global prevalence of autism is typically 0.62%, a 2022 study found that 18.38% of incels in their sample had a formal diagnosis, and an additional 24.6% displayed symptoms indicative of autism spectrum disorder. Well, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. I was muted. So that's real interesting that there's going to be, they're recognizing that there's mental problems with these guys. I mean, we've been saying this for a long time. See, the interesting part is that this stuff has been around for a very long time. It's not anything new. This is not new stuff. What makes it new, sort of, is that these guys have a voice. They have the ability to show up for the rest of the world to see, and they're saying, hey, listen to me, okay? Whereas before, it's like they were always there. They were just stuck in their mom's basement playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, that's basically all they did. No shade to D&D players. I used to be a D&D player when I was a kid too, but these guys are different. But the point is that when there's the ability to have voice, it puts everybody on an equal playing field. So you can get on the same communication lines as someone who's very intelligent, has high level of education, and they have the ability to reach a lot of people. And the same technology allows complete nut jobs who are plagued with depression, identity disorders, and who knows else what's going on in their head. They have the same access to people, right? I mean, just by technology alone. Now, whether they're going to have the same reach or not, who knows? But some of these guys end up having a lot of reach. And so because, like, one of the large things is that they are latching onto this data, they're latching on to all these different things, and they're able to get others to commiserate with them. And so guys relate, and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like me. Yes, I'll get behind this guy. And it's kind of what we do. It's just how marketing works, so to speak, where we often gravitate towards those that resonate with us, that we can relate to in some way. And and there's a number of markers that we do this by which we do this. So it's no surprise, but it's surprising to me that it's so high. This idea of incels having, not having a proclivity for it, but they are finding that 24.6% displayed symptoms indicative of autism spectrum disorder. That I find really, really interesting. So it goes on to say that William Costello, lead author of the study and an honorary research associate at Swansea University, said, "This research marks a crucial step in understanding the problems incels face and represent in society. Unsurprisingly, incels have a low sense of their own mate value. what's like cool to scientists and so on, like they want to study stuff like social scientists, and this is fairly interesting stuff, but we never really cared about guys like this. And here's the thing, we're still not going to care about them. Just that's the way it is. Like, that's just how society goes. You're here to care about yourself. This is just what happens with men. Don't sit around and expect society to coddle you. Don't expect the world to care about your problems. Don't expect women to care about your problems. That's not what all of that is there for, right? They're not there to take care of your problems. They're not there to worry about you. They're not there to wipe your nose. None of that stuff. And so it's like forever, society has just forgotten about losers, forgotten about guys who are severely depressed, who can't get up out of bed and can't do something, right? But it seems now that because of just the way technology is, that we can, or that they can kind of make a voice for themselves in that way. So let's go on. So it says, but interestingly, evidence shows that men are most inclined towards misogyny when they doubt their appeal to female partners and that unwanted celibacy. Independent of incel identity predicts misogyny. All right, let's just read that again. But interestingly, evidence shows that men are most inclined toward misogyny when they doubt their appeal to female partners, and that unwanted celibacy, independent of incel identity, so whether they claim themselves incels or not, right? But when their appeal to female partners and that unwanted celibacy predicts misogyny. The misogyny pervading much of the incel community likely reflects their low sense of mate value. This means that helping incels improve their own mate value and mating prospects would have the added benefit of reducing harmful instances of misogyny. So it's like, help incels improve their own mate value, and this will reduce misogyny. And that's possible, okay? But if you ask these guys, how are you propose doing that? Like, what's the action plan? Because they're already stuck way, way, way deep in their heads with something really, really destructive and bad. Like, their entire self-image is completely warped. So you can't just say, all right, we're going to put together a grant to help them buy better wardrobe and get gym memberships. Like seriously, what's the action plan? What are you going to do? What's something you can possibly do to help out incels change their, what did he call it? To change their mate value. Like, come on. There's really nothing to be done. There's really nothing you can do about this. Because the problem goes very, very deep. And it's got a tether inside their core that goes all the way through their childhood that's connected to their parents. I mean, typically. So this is nothing that can be solved easily or in sweeping motions, through the government or some sort of, I don't know, not-for-profit or whatever. So this is the reality that we have. It goes on to say that Dr. Andrew Thomas, senior lecturer in psychology at Swansea University and co-author of these studies, said, "Our findings highlight the importance of tailored mental health support for incels, as they seem to possess specific mating-related thinking errors that can impact their interpersonal relationships." Yeah, this is true. They have mating-related thinking errors, and they're completely overly preoccupied with this stuff. They're obsessive, which is maybe where this, I don't know, like too much about autism, but maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. These can be targeted using cognitive behavioral therapy grounded interventions to help correct these errors in mind reading and disrupt the confirmation bias that fuels their toxic beliefs. Well, that's not going to be very easy if they're going to groups online if they're joining YouTube channels with other people who are surrounded by them who are also suffering with this confirmation bias. So it's this vicious circle. So, and that's where they find their, so-called their friends and their associates. They get to know each other in the chat because they see each other on certain channels again and again and again, just like you guys here. Okay. Okay. So it's a perpetuating problem. It's a self-perpetuating problem. I think these are great ideas. It's got good intentions, but there's really no cure for this. At the same time, it says, we also found that non-incel single men suffered from similar errors, just not to the same degree, suggesting that such interventions might be useful to singles more broadly. Okay, so that's what I read about those guys, about the incels. But the whole thing of this, it's like this new nerd. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying as well, Shepard. Yeah, this is not new, just trending. Half of men have always been. Yep, there's been chosen, there's been unchosen. Like, what's that information? I can't remember what I read, but there's a very, very large number of the male population who will just never procreate. Like, your genetics are going to die with you. And that's the end of it. Like, that's just how the cookie crumbles. And frankly, the human race can't have that many people. I think we would possibly deplete the resources on the planet if every male were to have offspring. But I don't know. That's not my expertise. That's not my expertise to know. What's up, Charlie Kiefer? Boxing. What's up, man? Uncle Guns. Good to see you. But yeah, there's this whole thing, like with this this intellectual incel, and there's certain people that really like bring this out in them, so it's probably people who love following Jordan Peterson. They probably have Rollo Tomasi's books, things of that nature, right? Guys like that. And so basically anywhere online where you see a voice where there's like this nexus point where they talk about statistics, all right? Because you can't talk about manhood with these guys. You can't talk about masculinity. You can't talk about sexuality. You can't talk about anything quite visceral that way because they just don't understand it. They don't have that relationship to themselves. All right. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think it changes anything. I think, honestly, the information basically just allows them to feel better about themselves. Just like that guy that I was talking about, the acquaintance of mine that's on Clubhouse. And I've known him for like 2-3 years. And I think it's just a cope. I really do. I think it's just a cope. I think it's a coping mechanism for the unchosen. And instead of just looking at the self and saying, okay, what do I got to do to change my lot in life? What do I got to do to improve the things in my relationships? What do I got to do? And it's that pathway is incorrect, okay? But it's action, okay? It's action. And that's all that's necessary at this point. So, of course, the truth of the matter is that's still going to fail because whatever things the guy is doing, he's doing it to get the girl. So he's making all of his actions, his thoughts, his words about the woman. And this is going to ultimately make him fail because then he's operating off of a false identity, right? He's not operating off of who he actually is, which he doesn't even know. But that said, it's better than just sitting still and doing nothing, right? Because if he continues, he will learn certain things. He will fall on his face. He will skin his knees. And then through those mistakes and having things blow up in his face, if he can learn some emotional regulation, all right, doesn't fly off the handle when a woman shows up to a date and says, I'm not interested, and then leaves halfway through it, right? If he can handle things like that emotionally and learn from them without flying off the handle, without becoming suicidal, without becoming vindictive, then he will grow. Okay, but if you do nothing, if these guys just sit back and share notes about data and statistics and analysis, they're never going to really get anywhere. It becomes this intellectual circle jerk. And this is what I hear. And they even get into arguments with one another. They get into arguments with one another about the finer details of what it is they're talking about. And it just really seems silly to me because none of it actually exists. Like the things that they're talking about, because it's all within what that article said. What did it say? It had mating related thinking errors. So they're all coming to this from the same place of having a warped sense of the whole mating ritual and their role in it, as well as what they perceive women to be. So all of their perceptions are warped, for which they're analyzing, right? So they're looking at all these things with all these data points, and it's completely warped. All right, it's not actually how things are. Now, I really wish that they would do similar studies, but use like professional gigolos, use pimps, use guys who are really, really good with women, use guys who are in really rock solid relationships, and talk to them about certain things, because I think you get a vastly different set of information. But I don't think that would ring true with the public, because this is the minority, because this would be a minority. The majority of all these guys who can't produce these things, they're screwing up, they've got a lot of problems, they wouldn't be able to relate. They wouldn't really be able to relate at all. And they would say, well, this is bullshit, right? This is not what we're experiencing. I even had that happen. Like, I was in a room with Lucario the other day, and we were just talking about, just very generally speaking, about like how our relationships are. And, he and I have we have somewhat similar relationships, and they're smooth. There's really nothing to truly complain about. And everybody else in the room was not in that sort of thing. And they were kind of getting frustrated, because they're like, oh, well, you're talking about like how things are so great and so easy. That's not the norm. That's not how most people live. And we're like, sorry, but that's not my fault. Like, don't get upset at me because I'm in a calm, happy relationship, and you're in something that's chaotic and unhappy, right? But the thing is, the reason I bring that up is to illustrate that, like, those that don't understand, that's outside of their norm of perception and thinking and experience, they're going to push it away, right? We often hear we are afraid of what we don't understand, and that's what's going to happen. That's what these guys do. Okay, so it looks, I'm going to draw this to a close. I just wanted to bring that study to you guys. It's an interesting study. If you want to, like, it looks like a cool website if you want to be more, if you're one of those nerds who are into studies, but it's phys.org, and they've got all sorts of things in there: social sciences, physics, nanotechnology, chemistry, biology, all kinds of stuff, with various studies and links to the origin of the studies. So yeah, it looks like my dinner is ready, so I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you for coming through and watching on the live, and I appreciate you who are coming through and watching on the replay. Again, check out the dominanceacademy.com. If you have any questions, you can email me at justin@thedominanceacademy. All right, thanks for watching.